Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, everybody! Couple of days to Christmas. Are you ready? Welcome to this episode of the Ending Body Burnout Show. Philly and I are excited to have a pre-Christmas episode to share with you. What have we got on the agenda for today, hun?
Well, it's not about Christmas, but it might be relevant because we're talking about housework. And I'm pretty sure that there might be some people listening who are just like, I feel so overwhelmed with everything and my house has gone to poo.
There's going to be a bit of housework pre and post Christmas, no doubt.
But essentially, we're going to be talking about perfectionism patterns underneath housework, which could also be applied to perfectionism leading up to Christmas.
Awesome. All right. Well, stick around, guys. This one should be a really good episode.
Awesome. So before we dive in, I do want to just do a quick announcement that in January, we are holding our free coaching live experience, a 3-day live, all about unraveling perfectionism and body burnout. And we do love to hold these free coaching weeks a few times a year. So this is your chance to jump in and to get coaching in real time with us. The 3-day live is going to go over, let me actually pull it up on my computer. So day 1 is all about body systems. So the key body systems that burn out when you're running perfectionism patterns. And day 2 is getting to the deepest root cause. So what's actually driving your patterns and your body burnout. And then day 3, we'll actually be looking at food and movement in day 3 and coaching you through how to support your body from a lifestyle perspective with flow, not force. Because if you do run perfectionism patterns, often you can burn yourself out by trying to get well or to be healthy. And we want to put a stop to that.
Boom.
Also, this free coaching week is in lieu of I don't know if that's the right word. It's in conjunction with the doors are opening to our 6-month program, the Ending Body Burnout Method. So if you do love the content on this podcast, you love our holistic root cause approach to ending body burnout, go down to the show notes, pop your name on the wait list. The benefit of doing that is 1, you will get access to joining early, and we only have limited spaces, so you'll secure a spot. And also, early birders on the wait list get access to over $500 worth of exclusive bonuses. So definitely jump on there, even if you're semi-interested in
Christmas.
Working with us.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Have
Christmas.
$500 worth of stuff.
Okay. Let's get into the episode today, the topic. So we're going to be talking about perfectionism. This is a common pattern underlying body burnout. Many of our clients come to us running some degree of perfectionism, and sometimes it can be really overt and, it's clear that this person is running perfectionism patterns. Other times it can be quite subtle, but the more that you become intrigued with the patterns that you're playing, most people in body burnout are running perfectionism patterns to some degree. So perfectionism can show up in your body, in your health, in your lifestyle. It can also show up in your home. And this might sound like a random topic to be talking about, but housework, honestly, it is such a common conversation that we have with clients when it comes to healing. Often the conversation starts around, I had a coaching session with a client just yesterday, and she's like, oh, I'm really trying to unravel my perfectionism patterns. And I'm like, okay, well, where is it still showing up? It was all around home. It's like I've got this big to-do list of all the things I need to do. I need to iron. I need to meal prep. I need to like, some nights I'm staying up to midnight rolling bliss balls.
Wow.
So housework could be cleaning, but it could also just be the running of the home and the family. So your relationship with housework is such an awesome mirror and a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And I can guarantee if you have a rocky relationship with your home, it will be saying something deeper about you, and it will be connected to a deeper root of your body burnout. Chris has a saying.
The way you do anything is the way you do everything. Is that what you were going to lean to? Yeah, I reckon. It's not a hold fast rule, one rule to rule the rules, but it's so common that it's a great starting point for a conversation, a coaching conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dig into some common things that we hear often from clients, and I'll talk about these things in terms of the dialogue that I'm hearing from people, and often it's women. I don't know if I've ever had a conversation with one of our male clients around housework. Actually, no, that's a lie. I had one yesterday. Yeah, okay. So males can feel this load as well.
I've got a client who, if they're listening, his version of this is more around efficiency.
Yeah.
and that's sounds like it's in the same book of perfectionism.
Yeah.
It's like the shoes do not go in the doorway; they go in the place where they're meant to be. And it's like, this is something.
It has to go there, otherwise
you don't love me.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was the story.
We'll dig into the underlying stuff of what's going on, but that's cool. Okay, so some things that we often hear. I never get time to myself. Once I've gotten home from work, sorted out the kids and the housework, I am knackered. Like, how the heck can I heal and take my supplements and do my inner work and eat healthy when I never have time to myself and everyone else in the house is taking up my energy? Okay, big one. Another one would be, I'm so exhausted. The juggle of work and home is huge, and it literally can be taxing to the nervous system, the adrenals, and it can be a contributor to something like bloating because your gut can't function well when you're in fight, flight, or any other symptom. Another thread, I can never relax at home. My brain keeps finding more things to do. It's almost like, I literally have to go on a holiday or hire out an Airbnb so I can relax. The moment I step into my home, it's like, oh, got to do that. Oh my gosh, I've got Christmas is coming up. I've got 2 weeks off or maybe 6 weeks off. But why can't I enjoy the holidays? And because I'm looking at all the things I need to do. Another one would be, I'm sick of doing it all on my own. My partner and kids never help out. They're disgusting pigs.
They don't care.
They don't care
about me.
On the receiving end too, actually, this wasn't one that I had put in the notes, but this is probably more from a male perspective, maybe. This is very generalized, but it also might be, I just feel like my partner is nagging me all the time. Or if you're an adult child still living with parents, they always want me to do things. Another one would be, I never feel like my house is clean enough. I tidy up and the next minute other people have made a mess. And that can create a lot of dysregulation, because what if someone drops in unexpectedly and the house is a mess? Another one would be, I have to keep the house clean in case someone drops by. And another one that I hear often too is, seeing the piles of the washing and the dirty dishes and all the stuff that needs sorting constantly makes me feel stressed. I can never feel relaxed at home.
I've got a couple more to throw in there.
Go for it.
Okay, so meta program of mismatching, a focus on what's wrong, not what's right. Constantly searching for things that haven't been done or that need to be done or that have to be done. And then that kind of leans into another meta program of necessity and possibility. Sometimes perfectionists have a necessity, has to, got to, need to, should do frame rather than a maybe, could do. You know, that the dichotomy there. Then there's also a judger meta program where it's like, this is the way it is done. This is the way it has to be done. This is the way it's always done. I'm inflexible in my standards. You can say what you want, and this is a free speech is allowed, but whatever you say doesn't matter. I am the judge, the jury, and the executioner. No soup for you if you don't do the thing. And then also overwhelmingly self-critical, running a pattern of, if I don't do this, well, that's a real problem, and it has an effect on my self-worth. If this doesn't get done, if this doesn't happen, if I don't have this one thing happen, this means a lot about me, and it's not good.
Yeah.
There's a few others, but we'll save them for another time.
Yeah. Well, I think like underneath all of that, the way that you were describing that too, were emotions of shame, frustration, resentment, anger, stress, overwhelm. So you can see how these perfectionism patterns create the feeling in your emotions and in your body. And so then therefore it's going to affect health. It's literally going to put stress on your system, and your body's systems are going to burn out. And it's a major reason why people struggle to heal, because they feel like they have no time. Relationship conflict is a big part of this as well, in terms of like these patterns, these thoughts, these feelings, the exacerbation, and then it exacerbates stress. So relationship conflict, like I'm angry at my partner or the kids for not helping out or not sharing the load or not being able to read my mind. Like, why can't they read my mind to do the things? And you said earlier too, then attaching that onto, it means something about me and they must not love me, or they must not respect me because they can't read my mind to do the things, or when I ask them to do the things, they're not doing the things. So you can see how this is creating a lot of nervous system dysregulation. It's going to absolutely be connected to things like hormone issues and body pain and anxiety and fatigue. It's exhausting running these patterns. Skin issues,
I was about to say skin issues.
Yeah, it's like a blow up. It's going to blow up somewhere, and it often shows up in the skin.
Well, the reason why I was thinking of skin issues is kind of waiting to pounce, like a bit of acne coming up out of nowhere. So this is something that we see sometimes, is when there's unwritten or unclear rules, a bit of passiveness happens, and swallowing of the tongue, you know, holding it in, suppressing the broken rule, or the emotion regarding the broken rule, and holding back. And that passiveness can lead to a eruption. And when push comes to shove, maybe, hopefully it's metaphorically, but when push comes to shove, out it comes. This passiveness becomes aggressiveness and an explosion. And skin issues, it's really common as a symptom when that happens.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to share something? You pulled something up, or is that for later?
It was this is for later. But I think eruptions and passive aggressiveness, holding things in, when you don't speak a truth, when you're not really congruent, when you're not honest with yourself, especially, but then also with the people that you love and care about, and love and care about you. When you're not honest, when you don't bring up the rules that you've got in your head and in your heart, and when you're not really clear on them.
We'll talk about that soon.
I'm jumping the gun. Okay, it's an eruption. Anyway,
that is okay. Okay. Now. We want to dig in a bit more to what are your patterns? What is your relationship with the housework and home saying about you? But before I do, I wanted to mention patriarchy. So in, say, a male-female relationship, partnership, more than often, this issue shows up more for women. Like we did touch on males, but like there is so much research to show that this stuff around carrying the load, I've got so much to do, no one's helping me. There's a lot of research that actually shows that this is still happening in modern families today. In my book, I've got a section called Happy Family. So my book, Ending Body Burnout, which I'll put in the show notes if you want to grab a copy. It was interesting. There's a study looking at working women in 20,000 households. It's not a small population. Big amount of participants in this study found that after the first child is born, women do far more housework than men, and that as the children are growing up, the dynamic only worsens. And this is in working women, by the way. This isn't a mother who is a full-time stay-at-home mum. This is a woman who is also working the same as a man. So if there's any women listening to this right now and you're like, yeah, that feels like my reality. It's like, yeah, like this is patriarchy, and it's been modeled through the generations from your mum and grandma and your dad and granddad on. Now, I get this question a lot when I'm being interviewed in other podcasts. And
about patriarchy, and I've found that and it's a woman doing the interviewing, and it's almost like they're hoping to see my reaction or my response around patriarchy. And you're like, yeah, it's all patriarchy's fault, and like we need to be more feministic and da 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 da. But I actually just take a bit of a different slant in that, we're all perpetuating it. If this is your reality, you're choosing it. Yes, it's invisible and it was passed down through generations, but you can't now, with this awareness, by literally listening to this podcast, blame it on patriarchy and hate your male partner or think that they have to do better when what you allow, you encourage. I've got a piece from a male perspective. So stepping aside, but coming back to patriarchy in a second, you can't have what you've not been given. Of course, you can't create something from nothing. So the way things have been for millennia, it's been a really long time. It's great that, well, now females can vote. Now women have an ability to go into the workplace. Race and gender, there's no barrier to wanting anymore. You can want, and you can go out there and do things. So now we've got this change that's just happened in recent times within my life over the last 40, 50 years, right? Maybe just before I was born. And so now you can't have what you've not been given. You can't know what you've not been taught or shown to know. And my parents perpetuated patterns that aren't relevant and that are dysfunctional to today. And so having a desire and a drive to make things different and to make new rules and to do things differently, it takes a lot of energy because you're starting from the start. That we are at the start of a new. It's a revolution in the way things are in the family. So it makes sense that there's going to be a lot of changes need to happen in families, and there's going to be a little bit of growing pain. It's in our relationship as well. There's definitely growing pains.
We'll talk about that soon.
I'm jumping the gun again.
But like, if anyone's worked with us, you know that unraveling the deepest root cause of your patterning and programming and beliefs, like this is essentially what we're talking about as well. Patriarchy is a belief system that has been passed down, and often it's happening unconsciously. But the moment that you recognize it, then you have choice. It's like, so I can either choose to continue running my household and running my patterns if I so choose, but actually now with more awareness, I can choose to do it a different way. And regardless of whether you're a male or a female listener, because as a little girl or boy, you still chose to agree that this system and way of doing made you a good human being. Like if you took it on as that makes me a good human being, this is the way everyone else does it. So if I continue doing it this way, I won't get chucked out of the tribe. It was still your choice. Often it's happening unconsciously, but then with choice with awareness comes more choice, and you can choose something different.
And if you don't have an open communication channel with your partner, it's just going to end up in explosions and blow ups and passive aggressiveness. And it's going to, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that in today's day and age, their divorce rates are through the roof, and marriage rates are, what's the opposite of that? Through the floor. Not happening as much because it's too big of a risk. Anyway, won't go there. But communication channels, it's so critical if you want to have a good relationship, and there is a foundation of love, and love is present, and you can tick that box. You're going to have to explore what this new world looks like for you. Create new rules for yourself. Yeah. For your family.
So underneath even the pattern of patriarchy, there's still a belief underneath that causes you to continue running perfectionism patterns around housework that is like literally exhausting and burning you out. I'm going to read some statements, and I'll pause between each one just so that you can feel it in your body, and opening up the little gate between conscious and unconscious mind, so that if you're ready to receive anything that kind of bubbles up to your head, I think is like such gold data when you're entering the coaching space. And essentially, like, I mean, the podcast is a bit of a one way because we don't have another client on the other side responding back and mirroring, and us mirroring it back. But still, these are coaching questions that I'll ask you right now. Some may be relevant, some may not, but when your heart is open, you'll start getting some really gold insights that is deeper root cause stuff causing you to feel burnt out. So if you have to make sure the house is perfect, you are doing so because you believe something unkind about yourself. If you feel frustrated and shame when the house isn't perfect, you are doing so because you believe something unkind about yourself. If you are playing the martyr role, you are doing so because you believe something unkind about yourself. If you struggle to delegate and outsource, you are doing so because you believe something unkind about yourself. And if you blow up at the partner and the kids because they're not doing enough, but then fail to train them the way you want to be treated, you are doing so because you believe something unkind about yourself. So let's take back your power, take full responsibility that what you allow, you encourage, and actually start doing the deeper work that will make a big difference. I guarantee you that there aren't other functional medicine practitioners talking to you about this. They'll be like, you've got adrenal fatigue, you've got leaky gut, you've got detox issues.
And that is the root cause.
They're not going to be talking to you about, and how is your relationship with your housework?
Because the way you do anything, the way you do your housework and the way you relate to your husband is the way your body works.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to share my story as a teaching example because I'm actually really proud of this story because I 100% I'm actually really enjoying doing this podcast, and when I was preparing for it too, it was just like flowing out of me. I didn't even have to think about it because it was my experience. This is all the things around how I felt about the home and the load and the perfectionism patterns and the stress and the overwhelm and the burnout. So prior to kids, my house always had to be tidy. And when Chris came along and we got married and we lived together.
Chris kept doing what he was always
Chris
doing.
kept doing what he
Living like a bachelor.
living like a bachelor. And I don't know if you remember, but it caused
My version of a bachelor.
It caused a lot of conflict because you didn't care about
the
a
same
tidy
things as
house.
you. Yeah, I didn't care about the same thing. It wasn't as big of an issue for you. I was like, oh, yeah, nice. If you like that, that's great. Awesome.
It's like, yeah. If you like it, you keep doing all the tidying up.
I'm okay with like having piles.
And I'm pretty sure like younger married me did not have the emotional intelligence I now did. So I'm pretty sure I was probably passive aggressive about it. I'd be like, oh, fine, I'll do it all. Anyway, but I kept a very tidy house until kids came along. And when I had
You had three pile makers.
3 pile makers. Well, it was also that after the birth of Poppy, our first daughter, I was just really unwell. Like that was my first major body burnout episode or experience. I was physically and mentally unwell. I had no energy. Like I literally had no energy physically or mentally to keep the house tidy all the time. And then as the kids started growing up, they made a lot of mess. So I lowered my expectations in terms of what I could do as an output, but the mess constantly was still a trigger to my nervous system because I hadn't done the deeper work around why I felt the urge and the need to have a tidy house all the time anyway. So I was literally just trying to manage the situation by saying, oh, no, it's okay. I don't have to have a tidy house. But still my whole body, like my bodily experience was constantly being triggered by all the mess that I could see. So as the kids started growing older, I tried to delegate. I got to the point where I'm like, I can't do all of this on my own and I want a tidy house. And it would usually look like passive aggressive resentment towards Chris. And then I'd explode and I'd scream at him and the kids and tell them that they're all disgusting pigs and why do you never help me? And do you remember what I would usually do after the explosion? Where it would then be like, yeah, you need to go clean the dishes and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, then you did it.
Yeah, then I did it. Like literally I wouldn't even give them the time or space. I probably would wait 5 minutes.
And then Poppy, Elsie and I were sitting back and we'd be like, oh, it's being done, I guess.
It's being done.
Don't worry,
Great.
kids. Mummy just wanted to have a little explosion so that she could get ready to do the stuff that she said for us to do by herself.
Yeah. Now, if you think about that from like a nervous system, even like essentially what was happening in my body and my patterns was a trauma response. So it's like, go and clean. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of doing this all by myself. But then my unconscious mind is like, it's not getting done. It's not getting done. Oh my gosh, it's been 2 minutes and it hasn't been done. So I'd frantically get up and I'd do all the things, or they would start cleaning and I would just follow them around like a crazy rabbit. It's like, you haven't done it right. Now, it was about 5 or so years ago. It was definitely before writing the book because I have shared this story in my book. I remember filling out a census form. So I think, is it every 2 years we get a census form? Anyway, whatever. And I was completing the form and I was already feeling frustrated and a bit burnt out by all the housework and all the cleaning and the little help that my family gave me. And my boiler really hit exploding point when I reached a part in the census form that asked about housework. So there was a question that said, how many hours do you do and how many hours does your partner do? And there was also stuff around, and how many hours do you work and how many hours does your partner work? And I'm like, now I'm seeing it in writing. I'm not only experiencing this, but in writing, we are doing the same amount of work in our business, but I'm doing 20 plus hours of housework and Chris was only doing 1 or 2 a week. And I think it might have been childcare or something as well. So then I'm like, okay, this is a recipe for burnout. So anyway, like I got really aggressive and I'm just like, yeah, now I've got evidence. Now I've got evidence that I'm not being silly. And I stormed down into Chris's office and I had my chest puffed out and I jabbed the census form into his face. And I said to him, there, see, you have to do more. I'm doing like way more than you.
What did I say? Well, this is
Do you
so.
remember what you said?
No, because
You said it at the start of the podcast.
Oh, did I? Well, this is really interesting because this meant so much to you.
Really meant a lot.
And it really didn't mean a thing to me. And so I actually can't remember this conversation.
Gee, okay. I mean, I can because I wrote it in my book, so then I edited it many times. But this was like a pivotal point where I'm like, this was also during my third body burnout during like the COVID times. So it was probably like 4 years ago.
Which is yeah, keep going. I was just going to say, which is clear fact that it's like this is less of a Chris, like it is a Chris issue because I mean, you're my wife.
Well, it wasn't an issue for you because you had no pain around it.
Yeah. And this is a Philly issue to primarily like identify, which is, I think that's really interesting. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
So you said this is the thing that you said to me. You're smiling at me. You're like, what did I say? You said what you allow, you encourage.
Amazing.
That is all you said. Now I wanted to slap you in the face.
So smart. I'm so proud of that answer because that is amazing.
And I'm like, oh, okay, but take a deep breath. And I'm like, yep. He just coached me. Oh, I didn't ask for it, but like it's kind of true. Okay.
Oh, that's so good. I would probably say if that happened again, I'd say the same thing. That's so funny.
I think this is why this is a memory that sticks out in my mind. One, because of like the visual data of the census form. It's just like, wow, this isn't me just making this up in my head. And then also your response. And then it was just kind of like, oh, okay. So it turned out that I was allowing all of it. I wasn't allowing others to help me out. I wasn't teaching them how. I was expecting them to use their own initiative or read my mind and just do it. I didn't even give them time to do the chores because I kept rushing in to do it first. So I was encouraging it. I was encouraging their behavior. Again, like I was encouraging patriarchy, but I was still allowing that to happen. There was no clear expectation of who was in charge for what. I mean, like, you guys just expected that I would do it all because I was encouraging it all along. So when I was, so it was very close to this time that I then started doing some deep inner, what we call metaphysical work. So it's really like, all right, let's go beyond just looking at body systems, at lifestyle. Why am I running these patterns that are literally destroying me? They're exhausting me. And that's where I discovered that I had a deep belief, an old belief that I was weak and incapable. And so then when I found that, I'm like, oh, this house stuff makes so much sense. So if unconsciously I believed that I was weak and incapable, then that means that how could I ever be like a capable housewife? How could I ever be a capable mother? How could I ever be capable enough to keep a tidy house as well as like manage my children and my business? And so the housework was just really a mirror reflecting back on me, on my wound, pressing on my wound and causing me to have these patterns where I was dysregulated, passive aggressive, blowing up, running in, not teaching, not waiting, not being patient. And it was just perpetuating. Yeah.
Let me just think. Yeah, this could be a good time. So I mentioned piles. There's
like poo piles.
No.
shopping piles.
Like piles that
Laundry
you see on the
piles.
desk
Laundry
literally
piles.
right now. Piles of,
Oh, yeah,
what have I
that doesn't
got?
bother me. Chris's desk is really messy at the moment and I'm like, totally doesn't bother me.
But it bothers me because this is my workplace. But I've got piles. I've got some workbooks, some acting books. I've got some bushwalking books. And I use them every day and to get behind the screen. I have a reason for the part, like there's a functional reason. Now there's a couple of other things that have no functional reason. And I think when you have a conversation with your partner, there's going to be a reason why things are the way they are, why they do what they do. Underneath every behavior is a belief underneath. There has to be. It's there. Sometimes it takes a few goes at this conversation for you to get there, guys, but I did what I did for a really good reason. The problem was I had forgotten long ago, and I wasn't even looking. It wasn't on my radar of things to investigate. So I wasn't looking for answers. So it was unconscious. It was buried in there. And so that took some work for me to like realize. And then are you going to talk about
Our rules.
oh no, like why this was so important to you?
The cleaning.
Yeah.
Oh well, it was important because
we live a minimalistic life.
No. For me, it was deeply rooted in weak and incapable.
Oh yeah. No. What snapped me out of it was where you broke it down to like why this is so important to you.
Oh yeah. Can we talk about that in a second?
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second.
Okay, cool.
I'm jumping the gun.
I like to be linear. Chris is very like flowery and.
I'm in a star.
I
go come back to the center, but go on different points.
I would love to talk about that. I want to talk about like some real practical steps in terms of how do you actually start unraveling this.
Coming soon.
So, but before we do, I just wanted to mention something. Like again, this is a pivotal moment that sounds really random, but it was like, oh, it was another connection. So when I was deep into unraveling and reprogramming this belief and I'd like identified it, I remember washing the walls one day, and as I wiped the wall, like who washes walls? Like just a perfectionist would, because I definitely don't anymore. But I'm like washing the walls, and I wiped a little smudge off the wall, and a little imaginary mother, my mum, appeared on my shoulder.
Oh.
And she said, "Good job, Philly."
Right.
And I remember it as clear as day. It was like, she obviously wasn't on my shoulder, but it popped into my head. And I was like, whoa, what the? Oh my gosh. This is like, everything is coming back to childhood. Not only was the belief that I made, but I realized that as an adult, my dysregulation around cleaning was connected to feeling like I was being judged by my mum. That she might drop into our house at any time and like, oh, if our house is messy, I felt like I was going to be judged. But even deeper than that, I was judging myself before others even had the chance to judge me. And so the deeper fear was that the belief I had about myself, the fear, was that it was going to be confirmed by others. When I told my mum this, because I later, after I did the work.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have had many conversations
Amazing.
with my mum. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, I'd never think that. And I know that, and even back then, wasn't a mum that comes in and it's like, oh, why is there mess everywhere?
That's so
like,
good.
I don't think she's judgy like that at all, but my whole unconscious mind was like, my mum's going to judge me. My mum's going to judge me. Okay, so all of that, the point of all of that, like if we just wrap up that part and then we'll move into action steps that you can take, is that what you allow, you encourage. If you continue living out your deepest dysfunctional beliefs you have about yourself, if you continue doing everything for everyone else, if you continue letting others treat you poorly, if you continue overdoing and being controlling, you will not only remain in body burnout, but you'll never be able to experience like deep loving relationships and calm and relaxation. So this housework isn't just about your physical health. It's like literally about your whole life. And it's not about housework at all. I think by now you understand that it's the deeper baggage stuck in the unconscious mind that is being asked to review. Okay. So how
can people do comments like at this point of the video? Can you write a comment? What's going on in your mind right now?
Can, but you could jump onto our socials. You can absolutely jump onto like Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah,
and
what are you
leave
thinking
comments
right
on
now?
The podcast blogs.
Like before you even finish this episode, like what are your thoughts? Like,
Yeah.
and then compare them to like at the end.
Yeah,
Man, that'd be interesting.
Or send us an email or a Facebook message, Insta DM. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can you unravel yourself from what I call home burnout? This is what I did, and it's what other clients are doing too, is they're holistically healing their deep root causes and ending their body burnout. So first and foremost, you must do the inner work. You must identify this deepest root cause belief and reprogram it. as well as reviewing and clearing any distressing events from your body that is attached to it. This will 100% free you from perfectionism patterns, because you won't have guilt or shame or self-loathing or people-pleasing or rescuing patterns that can show up around household duties. So you're not managing your patterns anymore. I know, like, gosh, I hear this a lot, especially like with new clients, or, you know, maybe we're just talking to a business colleague or a friend or something, and they're like, yeah, like I just tell myself not to do it. Or like I just put really strong boundaries in place. Or like, yeah, I just drop my expectations. But like, if anyone's watching the YouTube video, you can kind of see my face like doing this. I'm like about to explode right now, because your unconscious mind, you're fighting against yourself. So rather than trying to force yourself to change or disciplining yourself to be different, it's like, just get to the root, reprogram it, get rid of it. And then the natural consequence is your patterns are now healthy and resourceful. And you'll probably be like me now, where I'm just like, my house is messy most of the time. Also, if this is really resonating, jump down to the show notes and pop your name on the wait list to our Ending Body Burnout method. I would say this type of work is 80-90% of what we do with our clients to get remarkable results.
Oh, yeah.
There is lab testing, there is supplements, there is kind of like, you know, tidying up lifestyle and diet. But essentially it's this deeper stuff that makes, like, this is what heals. The other stuff is just a Band-Aid if that's all that you do.
If the obstacle is the way, this is usually the obstacle in the way of being able to heal in the first place. So you take supplements, you do a treatment protocol, you do some lab tests, and you work on your body systems. The obstacle there is that what we're talking about today, especially, and other things, the metaphysical, is gonna hold you back. If you want to unlock your healing power, you got to get to the root cause, and it's not going to be your gastrointestinal system is got gizmos growing in it that shouldn't be there. Done. Take this thing to kill them off. It's like, yeah, cool, do the thing, but there's other stuff.
Yeah.
That's more important.
Yeah. Okay. So once you've done the inner work, then you can get really clear and honest with yourself. Like, what are you allowing to happen that you don't like anymore, that you don't want anymore? What are you constantly doing or not doing that saps your soul, or that you just really don't like? And is there anything that you're doing that you're noticing resentment or hatred or drudgery around? So when I started, and doing the deeper inner work allows you to have these conversations with yourself so that you have capacity and it's safe to do it. So I realized I was doing way too much. So I did a few strategy things. I lowered my expectations, and this time I could do it because my house actually had nothing to do with my beliefs about myself, whether it was clean or not, still an awesome person. So I was able to lower my expectations in a way that didn't freak out my unconscious mind. And then I reviewed and upgraded unconscious agreements around the home. So for example, any clients who have worked through our Spark process, there's a lesson on unconscious agreements. But an example of this would be, an old agreement was, having a tidy house all the time means I'm capable and a worthwhile human being. And it's like, whoa, that's like very like perfectionism, a goal right there. A perfectionist goal is actually unattainable. And so you constantly feel like you have to do more and more and more to reach the goal, to feel like you're a worthwhile human being. So then I'm like, oh, new agreement, the house is clean enough to be hygienic. So sorry, the new agreement was that the house must be clean enough to be hygienic, so that we're not like growing mold and having like cockroaches running around everywhere. But stuff lying around the house is okay, and it's of no reflection of who I am at my core. And actually, this is a reframe, stuff lying around our house means that it's lived in. Because often the stuff that's lying around is our kids' toys.
Forts. Made
cubby
fortresses.
houses, craft, wool, your guitar.
My other guitar.
And so now I actually, like that stuff doesn't bother me at all anymore. One, because it's no reflection of who I am at my core, but also it's beautiful. It's like our kids, like our family gets to live and be messy and throw things around. And Oh gosh, I'd way rather more of that than just like glued to technology.
Right. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know if it's hit me. Maybe it has and I've forgotten, but there is a direct correlation with mess and technology disuse.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that the more especially our oldest is on like the iPad, even drawing and doing things that, you know, maybe not like terrible, but the less time she's outside, jumping on the trampoline, running around, throwing rocks, being active, being a kid, making forts, breaking them, throwing, you know, beautiful, wonderful kid things that are glorious for development.
Yeah.
Versus technology. So mess is going to happen.
So mess actually equals living, play. I actually see mess in our home with our current children's ages is mess equals play.
Yeah.
And creativity. And I'm like all for that.
We can and now that we've got that, we can make, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun again, but now we can make some better rules that actually reflect that. It's like, right, okay, yes, we want you to play and we want you to have fun, but you know what? How about you actually just hang the towel up rather than throw it on the floor? And how that happens, that's a current conversation we're having right now.
That's good. I haven't had that conversation.
Oh, that's okay. So that's a dad conversation with our youngest.
Yeah.
She thinks that the best place for a hand towel is on the floor, about 20 steps away from where she pulled it off.
The tea towel, the kitchen tea towel, that is annoying.
No, it's every towel. It's like, it doesn't matter if she's out of the bath or shower or whatever, or wiped her hands after going to the bathroom. It's like 10 steps and there'll be a towel on the floor. I'm like, babe.
And it's actually like that pattern for our children is they're too fast.
It's too fast. Yeah.
It's like they're not present. They're like, watch the thing and then like go to the next thing, whereas it's like, especially if there's technology involved, it's like, quick, go to the toilet and wash my hands as fast as I can so I can jump back on TV, as opposed to the slowness. So anyway, this is a work in progress, and but there's such great conversations like that. Now we've had that conversation with us, and then you've done the work, and I've done capacity to do it for the children.
And now there's next level problems that are happening. It's like, right, okay, now we're not ashamed of mess. Now we have to like the next step is to meet the new problems and have new conversations, and it's not gonna like those conversations won't stop. Like the kids will grow up, we'll grow up, blah blah blah.
Okay, next step is getting clear on what you'd like to delegate to other family members or to hired help. So I'll give you some practical examples. So I realized there were some necessary things that needed to be done to keep a hygienic house. So remember, my new agreement was doesn't have to be tidy, but it has to be hygienic. So there were some things that were necessary, like, for example, my bathrooms. I actually stopped cleaning the bathrooms every week because I lowered my expectations, and I'm like, you know what? Don't really want to clean it every week. I'd rather like live on my weekend. And then I started just doing it fortnightly, but then noticing that, you know, there were like little bits growing that really didn't need to be there, that was a bit unhygienic, and I am a big fan of no mold in our house. So I hired a cleaner. And she does our floors every week, and she does our bathrooms. And in order for me to do that, I had to break through a bunch of blocks around being able to outsource to hired help. But far out, my life is amazing because of it. I love Annette. I love you, Annette. She comes 2 hours a week and it's the best ever. So then before Annette comes on a Tuesday morning, 1 time a week on the Monday night, the whole family does a cleanup. So like this is literally where we just like go through all the rooms, and the kids are doing most of it because it's mostly their stuff. And it's like pick everything up off the floor and put it in the kids' room or your bedroom. And again, lowered my expectations. I don't care how you store it, even if it's like jammed in closets or like pushed up against the floor or the walls. I don't care. If they're happy, I'm happy. They're the ones that have to sleep in their bedrooms. But you know, that tidy up, which I used to do every day, if not 2 or 3 times a day, and now only happens once a week, and it's the best. And then the other one is days at clinic. So the days that I'm away from the home at clinic all day, Chris is in charge of dinner and cleaning the kitchen, because the kitchen must be cleaned every day. If it's not, it's unhygienic. And so this is delegated to Chris. And I had to retrain you. This is part of like our relationship marriage rules that we integrated into our life. And it probably took you about a good month of me reminding you and then getting angry and you not, because I had to build up the pain for Chris. It wasn't painful for Chris that the kitchen was dirty because he didn't really care. But
Yeah.
I cared, because I'm like, that makes it really hard to make school lunches and breakfast the next morning. So the pain, like increased the pain by he gave me permission to be an angry wife. And it wasn't passive aggressive this time, because it was a clear you broke the rule.
I didn't like, my rule was I don't want a wife who doesn't talk to me, who ignores me, who when I try and initiate a conversation or communicate or even touch or not even like lovey-dovey sexual kind of stuff, like just connecting. I do not want to have somebody who pushes away and runs away and neglects me and her kids and the dog.
Never neglected Minty. Our dog.
So it was critical for me. It was a rule for me. I'm just like, if you've got something, I deserve to hear it. And she's like, yeah, well, clean the bloomin' dishes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, fine. Thank you.
And I think you started talking about this, but I sort of cut you off and I said, we'll circle back to that at the end. But there was the part where it had to make sense to you why it was
it didn't make
important to
sense.
me.
It was so illogical to me at that point.
And so a conversation had to be had. And also I wasn't clear initially. I just said, on the days I'm at clinic, you clean the house. Now, the first night I came back, Chris had gone to basketball. I walk into the house and the kitchen was a pigsty. And he comes home later at night, all like happy with himself. And I'm like, you didn't even do the thing that you said you were going to do. This is a really important agreement in our marriage that like you agreed upon.
Are you talking about the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Chris
awesome.
was like, I did clean the house.
Are you not entertained? Look at the clean and immaculateness. It's all perfect and beautiful. Look, there's not a speck of
So
dust.
he had vacuumed the whole house. Now that's not what in my head, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to clean.
I mopped, I believe.
You mopped. You went above and beyond. And so then I
You're
felt
a
bad.
disgusting swine. I'm like, I am well refined and immaculate.
Well, and then I felt bad because I'm like, like I'm angry and feel bad at the same time. But it was just another learning curve that, hey, Philly, say specifically what you want. And then allow Chris to say yes or no. And if he says no, then negotiate on something that's going to work for both of us, as opposed to being vague. Because it's very rare that our brains are on the same page.
I do not see, even in business and in every aspect of life, Philly and I's brains see different things. And this is probably the same for you in your relationship as well. Your partner, your movie running in your mind, you're so busy, you don't have time. That's an interesting point. But you don't have time to break it down into the nitty gritty and explain exactly what's going on in your head, like clearing out and laying out your expectations. It's probably why your expectations aren't being met in the first place, because you're not being clear. You're not clear yourself.
And that'll come back to probably people-pleasing patterns, where it's like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. I can't really say exactly what I want, because what if I put someone out? Or it could be a failure thing as well. It's just like, oh, no, I couldn't ask for that, because what if they don't give it to me? Then it's just going to confirm that nasty thing I already believe about myself. So I stay quiet. Okay, this has been a fun convo. Hope you've enjoyed and got something out of it. Moral of the story, do your own inner work first. Then you have capacity and the authority to retrain the family. And if you're trying to heal your body, but not doing this deeper stuff, it will be a continuous burnout cycle, I promise you. Even if you feel better for a time, it will come back. You'll be living with the same patterns, the same stress, the same relationships. All the sups and diets won't change anything long term because you can't outsup the root cause. So just a reminder that if you really loved this episode, we are going to be digging way more into perfectionism and its connection with body burnout and how to unravel it in our free coaching week in January. So check that out in the show notes. And also, if you're ready for this deep root cause, holistic way of healing your body, we do work on the physical as well for sure. Join the waitlist for the Ending Body Burnout Method. Doors open to our waitlisters on the 20th of January. And yeah, you will get all those awesome bonuses.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Hope the house is full of joy.
And lived in.
And probably messy, and that's okay.
See you guys.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.